stop Spider-Man.
You? What, me?
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the long-awaited sequel to the incredible Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the biggest surprise of 2018. Miles Morales catapults across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. If you've been following my channel, you know that Spider-Man is very important to me. Those Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were everything to me growing up, and my two favorite Spider-Man movies of all time are Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think both those films are some of the best superhero films we've ever seen, and some of my favorite movies of all time. And if you had to ask me to pick one of the two, just ask me what mood I'm in, because it changes every day. It depends on the weather, it depends the time of day. I really can't decide between those two. So of course I was excited for Across the Spider-Verse, but I pumped the brakes on my expectations a little bit because I really didn't want to get hurt. And that's all it was. I just didn't want to get hurt by this film. And I'm happy to say that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse exceeded all my expectations. And the only way I can describe this film is that it's fucking awesome. The first thing I need to talk about with this film is its animation, because I don't want to overreact, but this is the most impressive and beautiful animation I think I've ever seen in a film. I mean, the things that the animators are able to pull off here are absolutely mind-blowing. Every single frame is just oozing with creativity. You could tell that there was so much love put in this film, because every single little detail here was so thought out and just looks incredible. And these animators deserve everything in the world. Anything they want. If they want to be rich, if they want all the rewards, they deserve everything, because there aren't words to really describe the animation here, because it's that good. The emotional core of this film and what pulls it all together is Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. You already understand the relationship from the first film, but here they take it up a notch. They really develop it a lot more, and you really care for these characters, but they both face some really tough choices, which makes them grow as characters and spider people. And those choices and decisions they have to make really create some conflict between this relationship, which really drives this story and plot to this film that makes it all work. And speaking of the plot and story of this film, it is insane. It is bonkers. It is so chaotic. But that's a good thing, because we have good filmmakers here that can bring it all together and make it really work, because there is so much in this film. There is so much going on, but it never feels out of control. It feels like we have steady, good, trustworthy hands that made this film, because this film is an absolute blast from start to finish. The pacing here, the story, and everything, it just works flawlessly throughout the whole entire film. But there are so many fun elements to this film, not with just the story, but with all the references and the Easter eggs. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes there's some that are like, okay. But I will say 99% of all the Easter eggs and like the 10,000 spider people that are in this film, it never feels distracting, or it never takes you away from the overall plot and point of this film. It kind of elevates the experience, because this film is so crazy and chaotic. Having those elements in the film make the film better. It's almost like if they didn't have all the crazy shit in this film, it wouldn't be as fun. And if you're a big Spider-Man fan who's read a bunch of comic books, I think there's going to be so many references in here that's just going to make you smile throughout the whole entire film. I liked Oscar Isaac as the villain. I thought he did a great job voice acting, and I thought his character was pretty cool, and there's more to tell there. And I think this overall story blended together perfectly with the emotional beats, the exciting action, everything that they're doing here. But it does go into probably my only issue with the film, because this film is huge, and that's not the problem. It's one of the biggest compliments I can give the film. It feels ginormous, but there's a ginormous story to be told here, and this film does feel like it's the first half of this story, because this is part one of this Spider-Man story that they're telling. So sometimes the film definitely feels like we're about halfway through this actual narrative. And don't get me wrong, this film is absolutely great on its own, but there's definitely more to be told here, because there are certain characters that are reintroduced that definitely need a little bit more to do, and there are things that are introduced that I cannot wait to see in the next film. But like I said, overall, it does feel like the film is about halfway done. And that's crazy to say because the film's almost 2.5 hours long and it does not feel like it's runtime at all because it's just such a blast and it's so much fun. But because it feels like we're about halfway, maybe that's why I don't like this film as much as the original Into the Spider-Verse, because that film definitely felt a little bit more contained, a little bit more simple, even though that film is epic and crazy, but that coming of age story I just think is flawless and perfect. So I don't think this is as good as the original film, but that is a daunting task because that film is just incredible. But I really loved Across the Spider-Verse. I think this is an incredible sequel that is just so much fun. It is packed with so much exciting elements. The animation alone is just absolutely spectacular. Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, there's so much they do with those characters and the overall story that I think really works. And I can't wait to see what happens next with this overall story because there are so much elements here that are set up really well and developed that it's just an absolute blast. And people say this in their film reviews every once in a while where like a film's an achievement or a milestone. And I really feel like this film is from an animation standpoint because it is absolutely mind-blowing. There's not enough words to describe some of the things they're able to pull off in this film animation-wise, but from a story and that narrative and everything like that, it is really well done. It really works for a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I was holding my expectations back a little bit because I didn't want to get hurt. And this film absolutely succeeded it. It is an epic Spider-Man story. It is one of my favorite superhero movies I've seen in a long time. It is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. This is one of my favorite films of the year so far. I saw this in a packed theater and the crowd was going crazy. I think you're going to have a blast with this film. If you're a huge fan of the original, you're not going to be disappointed. And I cannot wait to see this film again and then see what happens in Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I'm going to give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 9.5 Davey Daves. There really is so many Easter eggs and references throughout the film. Like, there are a lot that even I understood and I never read the comics that made me laugh out loud. They are just such a creative team. And I can't wait for that one YouTube video to like pick out every single little detail. But that video will probably be a full-length movie because there are like 90,000 Easter eggs in this film. But like I said before, it really works and never really gets distracting at all. So, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey Dave's Takes.